morning, class. Welcome to Homeroom with Unc and Market Monk.
Morning, P. How's your week?
Uh, really good. Just gonna watch Poet all week and did really well there and managing a couple other positions. Had a lot of intel from way back, so that was fun too. But yeah, just kind of stuck with it. Wasn't real active, every day, but just managing what I have mostly.
It's nice. It's nice to get the good one. I'm gonna start there. It changes the whole week when you get the good one.
Yeah.
Not really a slow week for me, but I was on the impression that last week we were gonna pull back just to stay inside. The seven. What did we say? 7,675, somewhere in there. Um, so I was just moving stops up, taking a little profit this week. Didn't really re-enter a lot of stuff. Um, because I was, kind of waiting for the shoe to drop a little bit, and we're really getting it. The follow through is crazy, so kind of, not getting it all, but I got the good one, so it doesn't feel as bad. But even some of the good company table pounds, Shake Shack's $100. I mean, I can say it that way.
Yeah.
Just a lot of that stuff it just gets real boring. Does real good in these conditions, so try not to do as much with my hands on the day-to-day basis, except for find the next one currently, um, with anticipation that we're gonna pull back at some point in time, just being ready to strike then.
Yeah, and the big story to me, continues to be it's hardware over software lately. Um, but at the same time that you better already be positioned in a lot of that hardware in the hardware stocks like um, the NBISs and Dells and SMCI. Had a good entry there and everything, and then you look for opportunities in software, and it's still it's gonna be winners and losers. It's not gonna be some big even recovery. So it's gonna take a little bit of homework. Or I mean, there are one or two that we talk about constantly that are sitting around pivots, and you just kind of wait for them to um, show up in the course of our work, and then they'll be fine. And you're looking at, I don't know, 20 to 50% recovery in some of those. Um, Narrowing down the time, that comes into the flow reads and all that. And but yeah, I mean that has been the way that hardware has just continued to move, and semiconductors have just continued to go. And I think we've done a pretty good job, with those originally, and then maybe helping people get back in um, here and there. But I see a lot of people that they're just they'll try to focus on one. Like you talked about, getting the best one, and us doing that, and but they just this is the kind of the cult following. So even something like IREN, which has been good, they got into it late, and now they're pissed off it didn't do as well as NBIS, and they're constantly looking for that when it's going to finally have its day. Well, next thing you know, if we do get caught up in some kind of market pullback for a week or something like that, um, and that drops 15%, it'll come back around on our radar, but they've been in it the whole time. So a lot of people waste a lot of time just chasing, making their identity, any one of these. So I think one of the things we do well is we move around quite a bit, and I think that helps us.
Yeah, I used to say all the time, like in our beginning days, especially when we were more or less trying to trade momentum market, versus, I don't know how to say it, but actually trading like adults. We're trying to be,
Yeah,
more like the what was offered out there. I used to always just say all you need is one, just one, and I probably would say that, but the longevity of that doesn't last. And to break that down real quick, you need one to learn on. I agree with that, and I still do.
yeah,
Find one stock and learn on that thing. Um, why a shitty penny or something is a little better to me because you're not going to get emotionally invested in this company is going to be good, and it moves a lot faster. If you try to learn on Tesla, Nvidia, Microsoft, Apple, Netflix, I mean, search the group. We talk about those. I mean, you're lucky if we get them in once a year if we have an opportunity to trade those. So that, I mean, that was the origin of that. That was the secret sauce to just sticking to one chart for a long time and learning it. But once you get an education, you need to move the fuck on because
Yeah.
there's better fish out there. The story's probably changed. Um, but yeah. So it's kind of the give and take. The learning environment not the same, and you know the thought that comes into my mind now is that's why a lot of these people stick to those kind of things, or even SPY or the ESQ or NQ, or I don't know all that. I don't look at that shit, but they stick to that because it's easy to tell stories off of those moves because they move a little faster. So those guys that learn probably never learned, just learned how to tell stories. Um, yeah, so don't if someone's still talking about help me out with this one, P MMTLP, just fucking
Oh
run
yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Just run away. Just run
Yeah.
away
Yeah.
because there's the only people you're gonna find a guy like Unk, and how much do I really talk about NVIDIA? You're gonna find those guys. You know, I made it off NVIDIA, but now I'm doing other shit, and
Yeah.
and you're not gonna get someone that's lack of better terms mentally, probably financially fucking bagged on what they're talking about.
Uh, yes, I mean the trajectory from bag holder to conspiracy theorist is yeah, it's a very real thing, and I mean you see it even with people still on AMC, GME. I mean those circle back around for us once in a while, but it's
Well,
there've been so many better
it's it's
setup.
it's just one of the things. Sorry to cut you there, P. But I mean, like the 4 to 6 weeks, I could. I mean, I'm a fucking genius. But I can also, on the same exact statement, say the 4 weeks coming out of it, I had no fucking clue, and that's a skill they lack. Is that humble of sometimes I don't
Yeah,
know, and I need to know what I do when I don't know, and I need to know what to do when I do know. And did I know these 4 weeks were coming? Fuck no. No, no, I missed. If I did, I probably wouldn't be talking to you, right? I mean,
yeah, yeah.
the financial gains on moves like that. But did I get some of it? Yes. Did I preserve my income during that pullback? Yeah, I posted my chart. Y'all seen it. Y'all seen it in my page, and that's more what it's about. And they just never they just stick to the story, zoomed into the story. Sorry about that. P. I had to get that out.
No, yeah, I mean, well, and on that note with spy and the when we go through that, and a lot of it's been about reading the puts for a long time
Yeah.
and just sort of where they're positioning there. And then a couple of weeks ago, I'm like, I got nothing, and I mean, and that just saying that, not trying to conjure some interpretation when like the way I have it set up, it doesn't tell me that there's some pullback that they're after. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that we were going to do what we did and it just, market just take off and punch through all time highs and all that. Um, but it did mean a pullback wasn't very likely. So, I kind of positioned around that. And then, the complicated thing too, it's like, it's not like all tech has done well during
Yeah.
this. I mean, I mentioned, SaaS and software and all the FUD about Claude and everything. I mean, like that's just been, pulling those back, and a lot of them did have a nice pop, and they faded, and here we go again. So it what there's still you had to be in some of the right stuff, and for me, keeping Intel from way back when, I mean that paid off, and um, the NBIS entry, the SMCI. I mentioned those Dell, like all that stuff. That you can keep that, and the thing too, like I think we've had a pretty good read on the war situation, and people still are chasing headlines there. And I mean, to me, oh, this ship was stopped in the strait and turned back around. You can't trade off that. I mean, if bombs aren't dropping, then it's not really going to have much follow through. And like boots on the ground would do something, but this idea that they're going to have talks, they're not having talks, and trying to trade day to day and swing puts overnight based on all that stuff. I mean that's just a mess. And Those guys, like you say, they're storytellers. Um, they can sell and monetize losing, and talk about, oh, this guy in our rooms, betting, you know, $18,000 that it's going to do this, and like all that stuff gets clicks, but it's not really sustainable long term. So I'm definitely with you that if I don't have a read that fits into what I'm doing, then I don't really like to talk about it. And it's part of the reason too. I think I don't mind getting questions from people, but I maybe have more hesitation and sometimes getting into that than you do, because like you have it's very specific lines, and it's like kind of like a yes no of it's here until it's there. I got nothing. Like there's a kind of always a clean read with your side. With my side, someone will bring something up, and I'm like, yeah, I can see it, but the way that I had to dig through my setup to find what they're after, it's so far from anything I would bring up that I don't really like to do that. But I find a way to talk about it. But just at the same time, my system's set up in a particular way, and the good stuff's gonna just show up. And so to really have to dig, I don't really like doing it. If it's something they're in and they're like, "How long should I stay in this?" I kind of like that better than just getting a random ticker and like, "Hey, what's the deal with this one?" But our current room now, it doesn't really happen that much. As we get new guys, it probably will. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of my take on people bringing stuff. And like you say, do your homework first, and then we'll talk.
Yeah, I kind of got on our frat boy nurse, um, fucking criminal guy over there. You know who I'm talking about. I won't say no names for
Yeah, yeah.
having like 25 lines on a spy chart. And you're right. My system is pretty yes or no, but it's to take that emotional out of it. And if I could break it down to one line so it makes sense to everybody, my levels are where people not have to make decisions, but if it goes much lower, they're going to lose millions and millions of dollars. Their positions are going to be like not
Yeah.
good. So your $1,000 or $2,000 you got in there, it really don't fucking matter, right? And it's
Right.
just about that safety of like there's people that can do things, make moves, so to speak, manipulate the market, so to speak, that that are in there. So I want to be in around them, and that's why I'm diligent with those levels, because I know all I have to do is have the flow set up around those,
Yeah.
and they're in control. So I just swim with the whales, and I mean that's the easiest way to put it. It's not some fucking rocket science, and it's why when they're revisited, they respond so well, especially on the stuff we say whales can't hide in, because they're positioned there. They're going to do something.
Yeah.
And good little segue into something I wanted to bring up. But man, for weeks, months even, I was we talked about NVIDIA. What's NVIDIA going to do? What's NVIDIA to do? And I was like, man, it has to check back to the 50. I don't know if you remember that, but
Yeah.
I said that constantly. And it's really, really fucking important. Well, NVIDIA, what did it do, son of a bitch? I mean, it ran foot and step with the market, but it checked back to the 50. Why did it bounce off the 50? Was it just market conditions? Or was it because people's rules that they have that have a lot of money, those people I'm talking about, they can actually buy it again because their rules let them. And unlike you, if they break their rules, they lose their fucking job and license. That's how that works.
Yeah.
You don't lose your job and license. You just lose money when you break your rules. So NVIDIA touching the 50, buying coming back into the market. They're allowed to buy NVIDIA. It's why I constantly pound those levels, those 200s and the 50s, because big money's rules have to use those in some instances. And you see it. We've seen it all the time. I mean, you bring up Dell and IBM. I didn't get IBM. I got Dell, but it's the same chart, same place, same chart. And when they have the opportunity to rebuy, they do as well.
Yes, and the one thing that's been around with us for a while now, and whenever you see any kind of market humorism, it's comparison charts. Like Cisco was the big one. Anything with like the .com bubble, and you're seeing that a lot right now, where like they're mapping the .com bubble's apex onto what we're doing. You can, if you want to get historical, compare Nvidia to tulips in Europe, like the crash of that market, back in I think like 1600s or something. But anyway, one thing I'll just say about that a logarithmic chart, like it's like looking at the clouds and seeing a shape. And anytime you get some big run in the market, like yes, you can map it onto that. Um, and then when it doesn't pan out, 6 months from now, you can map it on to that again. And this idea of trying to find the top, um, is a really bad way to try to short the market for one thing. But it's also not really the best for people will be like, well, I missed it, so I'm not going to get in. And if you did that with Nvidia, 3, 4, 5 times since we've been doing that, I mean, you missed a hell of a move. And even the opportunity to get back into it on that touch of the 50 was there, but there were also so many other stocks in their orbit that we brought up, and you still had a chance to get into. So if we're in this market where we're just going to keep grinding higher, and that just goes on and on. Um, if you actually want to invest and get into something, you're gonna have to find some entries, and a lot of those entries are gonna be higher than when you originally talked about the thing. I went through that with Meta. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, that was really hard to get back into that, but I did. I did because of what I saw, and even though it was under $600 and all that, and I was like, yeah, there's 30, 50% here. It's hard to get back into, um, but the longer you're around this, you have to get over that. I mean,
Yes.
I barely followed stuff back in like 2008. I just bought some Apple because I had a MacBook. An English grad student, didn't really know anything. All my professors were all in shambles about not getting to retire when they wanted to or whatever, and I was like, well, this probably won't last. And I just bought some, not really knowing anything. Obviously, never getting that entry again. But it's come up several times for us. So you have to really get over that. You had to get over it with coin, and I'm just this is just kind of a general thing. Whenever whatever we're in pulls back, consolidates, whatever, be willing to revisit stuff, even if it's up 100% from when you first saw it. And because the opportunities are going to be there more so than just the failing company that bottomed out and is probably never going to come back. And that's going to be a big story in software. So cheaper isn't always better. That's my take there.
Yeah. Well, my initial comment on the 50 and the 200 is kind of related to Tesla a little bit, because of the lost time. If you look at that chart, the kind of lost time on the chart, from the high because it pulled so far away. Um, Price is catching back up to that finally. But
Yeah.
those big fishes like the big names. And another point I want to make is it's very important to me because as we get things like, let's say, Hims and SoFi and even Ollie and the next round of those generational names, so to speak, um, you'll see those start to be respected from never being paid attention to.
Yeah.
So for me, it's big in that regard, and you can see when just I guess just when there's a lot of support driven into a stock, when there's an actual floor being built. Um, yeah. So I mean, if and time, it's easy, right? It's real easy to have those two lines on your chart, and just to understand where trend is at and stuff like that. So I really want to pound the table on this week because a lot of what I see is charts either consolidating there or they've made a move off of those levels. And the better the names, usually the better those moves are. My thought process is it's kind of what I just said to you guys. They can buy now, and they're willing to buy, and that should be a signal for you.
Yeah, definitely. And
On
a
the, on
lot
the
of those,
Go ahead,
the
go ahead.
50 and 200, just real quick, those are the strikes in the option flow. And I don't even
Yes,
look at what the 50 and 200 are, but I can kind of tell that this probably is one of those numbers. So yeah.
yes. Look on the other end. There is still some pressure in the market. Um, Airlines, fast food, Vegas, kind of three that
Yeah.
stand out to me. Um, those are where I like to focus. Things that do have that downward pressure. Lack of better terms, use professors, um, whatever you want to call it, whatever the word is for your words in school.
Yeah.
The thesaurus or whatever, is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, Beach ball. A lot of those charts just looking like they're gonna have that beach ball day. Um, yeah, you just kind of seeing it with a poet chart. Not to throw a shitty penny in there, but the moves I'm expecting in a lot of these good names that are just a little beat down, consolidating, waiting for news.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, there's just been, such an opportunity to scale into a lot of things have been pretty beaten up. And I don't know, any news I get on Vegas, it's always bad news of
Yeah.
crowds and whatever. But I mean, you've got football team firing off. You got every major sport. NBA is going to go there. Major League Baseball is going to go there. And for better or worse, Vegas is going to be. I think it kind of already is the sports capital of the U.S. And given culturally what the U.S. is all about, our bread and circuses and Roman gladiators or whatever. That's a that's a big deal. And also the if we do ever get a pushback um, against phone app gambling, I mean the way that Vegas can reconfigure itself, back around gambling and get more of a surge of visitors and stuff. I mean, there's so many different angles, and we saw it with the Sphere.
Yeah.
And to me, the Sphere was a kind of the beginning of something, not the not the end of something. Like what you saw in that stock and everything. So I don't know. I mean, there's going to be some distressed real estate and all that stuff, and that that to me, just to segue into that, you talk about like downward selling pressure. That is the sector because what you see happen there over and over again, the kick the can down the road comment I make.
Yeah.
That's the sector. That's where it came from, because it's the one sector where it's like they're really just waiting for something, and they're waiting for the Fed and interest rates and all of that. We Builder came up for us the other day too. So home builders, real estate, all of that. That's a sector that can get very explosive and that you'll do very well in. You just have to be patient because there's going to be times where you're in it, you got a good position's fine, it's probably not going to get killed. And all of a sudden, I see him punt the leaps a year down the road, and so it's like, well, okay, another 6 months to what I was thinking here. But you're still, you're not likely to go down 40% on your position. You're just going to be sitting in it for a while. So, so that's one sector I would definitely look at. And then, the way that the Sea-Doo and ATVs and campers and all that stuff, came back up for me. The idea that whales are starting to move into those to me seems more likely the market's going to go risk on, not risk off. It's just going to move some
Sure.
money around. But yeah, I don't a broad full market pullback, 30% haircut. It doesn't look that plausible to me right now. Um, when it does, we'll be talking differently. So I don't think it'll catch us off guard.
Yeah. I think we have a hold on that. It's the Twitter sphere that's going to pout when you go back below 700. Now sky's falling. I talked about it at
Yeah. Yeah.
660. 3% into 660. We're fucking running. 3% down into 660. The sky's falling, and 700 is going to be that for the people on the minute chart. I do want to make a point about Vegas real quick, man. When Vegas was hot, when Vegas was good, they had like the rodeo one week and the convention for the builders the next week, and then some car show would be in town the next week, and it was just kind of an event filled place, and um, they're getting it back. I'm not a big wrestling guy or anything, but I do pay attention. But the 4 day event that the wrestling people TKO did over there shows that town can handle it. Kind of built for it. So I'm with you with it becoming a sports town or the next um, transition being more sports related in Vegas. Um,
Hey, so the second that I see Cincinnati Reds at Vegas, that's you'll find me there.
well, when
So,
you get
or,
like the season ticket, what do you want to call it? Like if you're a season ticket member and they have like Vegas package trips for you, like
yeah,
through your package, yeah, it's a wrap then. I mean, because that's
right.
such a big market of getting people to go to the destination for two things. No, I'm with you. Um, we don't have to get off on this, but you said it earlier, and I want to say it. Bro, this ain't our first war, P. That's probably why we can see how this shit
Yeah,
works.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's not the first time, and anything in the market gets a little easier after you go through it a couple times. So, um, yeah, I noticed that it's kind of leaving the news cycle as opposed to the political stuff that just happened in Washington every day. Um, let's really flip it though. Table pounders, what you got to say? Anything
Well,
poetic?
I do. So real quick on the war,
Oh, okay,
like
sorry.
anything else there. At to me, the biggest lesson that's going to come out of this war, other than it's good to know insiders if the people who people who are making those trades, like whatever. But it's that the idea that you're going to see the U.S. try to get smaller and cheaper with our war tech. That you if you have like all these little drones disrupting shit, like you're going to see a big push into automation, robotics, drones, like all that stuff. And I've talked before. I personally hate all that shit, but I do think that that's kind of where like aerospace and defense, um, and I see it where I live. Like it's just there are just for every major company, Boeing's here and um, Northrop and all like for all the big dogs. Like there's just constantly these little companies swirling around those, and a lot of them aren't publicly traded. But I would say that a lot of them will become publicly traded as this whole thing takes off, and so that's going to be a big story for us in the coming years. So just stay on that. And I think we've positioned well batteries and all that stuff. But yeah, that to me is going to be the biggest lesson out of this war that we got to get cheaper and you know fight their little drones with our little drones and that shit's just going to go on and on.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna use the video to transition.
What's greener than this golf course? The Poet Weekly chart.
I've been loving the AI stuff, just playing around. If I'm gonna make some content, I'm gonna have fun. So,
Yeah.
that's my 4 minutes of content making. But table pounders, man, it was a focus for me. Um, I mean, I've learned through this process that I'm gonna have to make it work. I'm gonna have to show it work, and then it's gonna work for other people. So it's not just
Yeah.
hey guys, we're gonna get on a bus, let's go. Like you have to have proof of concept of things, and I just want to double down on it after probably the third dub, but the biggest dub of the table pounders this year. Um, we're leveling up around here. I'm not letting go. It's just a pivot, and from me being I'm gonna. I don't know how else to say this, P, but I used to be like, I'm gonna find some better shit than P. Like let me show this
Sure.
guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find some better stuff, or I can find some better stuff. I mean, you even say it a lot. Like I know you got something better, but this is where the whales are looking. To No, P finds a lot of good stuff, and we need to not lose that either. So just giving you a piece of my um, recall memory bank, giving you
Yeah.
30% of that and stuff you find is pretty much it. And and then being able to find those, like, not necessarily high convictions, but highly readable things for you, and just staying with them because they work. Um, Icy, Gurn, all that stuff's
Yep.
just it just sticks in my head. And what what was the one that went up, like, it went up, I forget what it was. It went up like $4 to $8, and you're like, this is going to 15. And just from that on, I think that was like 2 years ago in November. But
Yeah.
from that on, it was just like, I gotta stick with these. They're too good to not let go of. So just kind of where you're at on the table pounding process, um,
Yeah.
and,
I
and,
so
and,
I think
and going forward, how to use it best.
right.
That's all.
So I,
Good call.
the way I phrase things sometimes, and I'll just be like, the flow doesn't stop on this. Like and then and I post it, you read it, I post it again the next day, and it's like I already know your numbers, but like I'm just trying to get across that they keep ramping this up, and I think what I noticed about Poet that I look for now that I maybe didn't look for in the past, but was probably there too. It's the way that the open interest just they completely they take the wheel and it's gone. And it was the January in the money contracts on Poet, and they so it's like once they got what they were after there, and that they stay in those, and they don't roll them, they don't really do anything, but they're just 10C, 12C, you know 68,000, 65,000. I mean, just then you throw in the way 17C's moved up the ladder for July, and so it's that kind of distant OI pumping the stuff that's out of the money closer, like just on and on. That was really the signal that it was gonna punch through. So for anyone who bought Poet around $6 or under $6, and it's like you look at the chart and you get to 9, and it's like, well, we're gonna reject here. And you see kind of a little wick there. I'm sure some people just got out at that point, and then they see it take off. And I would just say for a lot of these, when we start to talk that way, and I'll try to just make sure I'm more deliberate about what I say along the way, but find a way to keep a position in a size where, like, you don't really mind if this goes back to 7 and I get totally stopped out. Okay, fine. I'm still with 6 to 7 on that. No big deal.
Two
But
trades.
yeah, two trade, right? Yeah, and you can get back into it. You can, I mean, if you're an option guy, you can grab a couple cheap options for it. The problem with that is that you want to buy low IV into an elevation of IV. When you buy when the IV is already through the roof, it can shake you out a lot quicker. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend messing with options there. But yeah, I mean, so the definition of a table pounder for me, it's not just that this stock Piton or whatever is at this price, and I just kind of can tell that it's going to double or triple from here based on a lot of different factors. It's not really that. I mean, for me, it's that actually I see the flow coming in, I see the story and open interest, and pairing those two things together. And then this, the sector being right. If I start talking about what the company actually does and trying to break that down and post little lectures about it, that's that's an indication that I think that flow's there for a reason. And this optoelectronics thing that Poet does, given the demand for data centers and all that, if you have a process that makes things cheaper and faster, that companies are going to use, then it's something to look at. It's the same thing happened with the quantum story. Those quantum stocks were table pounders. That was kind of, I mean, if there were three other optoelectronic stocks, and a couple of them were under $1. This would have been the time to get into them. I looked, believe me. So like, but that's what happened with quantum. That's how we got into the QUBT and all that stuff. Kind of have that secondary thing. So that will happen with some of the table pounders. Poet was kind of a singular thing, but yeah, I mean, I'm refining and figuring out how to read these, and improving upon it. So it's definitely a big focus of mine.
And the aforementioned one here, Poet, man, those 12,000 contracts on Friday with no open interest was something I just have never seen before.
Yeah,
I mean, and Poet already had 4 or 5 pressure checks, where you just like make a note, they're still there, they're still there, they're still there. The hardest part for me on the ones that come from your end, are that I'm reverse engineering. All right, this is gonna be something we want to stay on. What's the range it's gonna trade in until it moves? Where the stuff that comes from my side that gets flow checks, I kind of already established that. So that's the only hard part for me. The only other thing I would say on your end, most of the stuff that comes out, I've never heard of it. And you're probably the only person that I even look at stocks that I've never heard of before.
yeah,
So that and that's again something that I've had to just kind of pivot, not just when they're the good ones or the ones I like. And to be honest,
yeah.
kind of helps with the emotions a little bit on them. Um, Last point on Poet, man, you said 6 to 9. Usually, man, I'm a 6 to 8 paper hand guy, but that 12 I just had some conviction in, and most of it out there and all of it out at 15 for me was just it. So great trade. Um, Overall, I'm really looking forward to the next one already.
Yeah. No, and I think it will. It'll show up, and we even had one, in secondary. Went back and looked in it. Superconductors, like that was like this key term for a while. And the one we found there, like went, I don't know, 8 to 40 or something like that. So yeah, it's out there, and yeah, I think that, when you look at, there's aspects of the space trade that we're not even thinking about
Sure.
yet that'll show up. So the big,
Wait for the IPO.
the big chess piece there is the SpaceX IPO and
Yep.
everything that is going to come around that, and I think so. Some current companies are going to benefit from that. But I mean, I had a new space stock to me show up just this week, and so it's definitely whales are out there, kind of feeling around. So recognizing to me when whales are just kind of testing waters versus when they're in control and they're just going to send this thing. I mean, finding that pivot point is is something I work at too. But yeah, I mean, Poet, it wasn't luck. I mean, we've been at this a while, so
Yeah,
we'll
no,
get
and
to
I,
this.
I double down on that because a lot of people out there won't say it. And I mean, if I was out there by myself looking for some place to go hang out with people, pay them a little bit of money to hang out with them or whatnot for their service, don't worry if you missed it. I mean, we joke that's the last one. Sorry, guys, pack it up. We're gonna
Right,
find
right.
another one, and if you don't like the next one, that's fine too. What
Yeah.
you need to do is check everything we say, and when it meets your checks and you finally see it, attack. We're gonna find them every once a week, once a month, once a quarter, whatever. They're gonna come when they're available. We'll find them. We scan, we filter the market pretty well, and I promise you won't be in 1-800-Flowers.
I mean, like Poet was $6 or $7, and I was talking 12, 15, 20, back then. And I'm not. It's not really my personality to just like try to unrealistic price targets and pumps or whatever. I'm just like, this is just what they're buying, and so it's setup is there, and yeah, no, it was a fun one for sure.
Perfect. Let's get boring. Good time to do
All right,
that.
so yeah, copper. Look how quiet it's been, given everything going on in the world. Um, Copper just kind of parking in the $6 $6 area. This is literally middle, kind of middle of the zone for the move I talked about, the 5 to 7 thing. And the copper stocks themselves, very tricky to trade to me. You talk about like wanting to re-enter something. I had a lot more confidence with FCX in between my lines than I do up here. You can see the pretty fat range on it. So I sold some automatically on that drop. Just some stuff I added way back. So yeah, that's tough. Like steel's a little easier, and better. So I think you'll see some steel names. I'm not going to give them out here, but I think the group knows. We'll talk about them.
Steel name, son of a bitch.
Silver, continues to try to find some kind of new normal. I'd prefer if it was around 60, to be honest. I mean, just if you're talking about re-entering trades, but there's definitely range here. So
Silver's top gun for me, P. It's inverted. You know the scene.
Yeah,
it's inverted. So like I talked during the move, like it's gonna take a while for all those miners we were in for like the numbers to hit the books with the current price of silver. I've said here, and I'll say it again, double down. I still think like 50 we're going to. You got lower highs, lower lows along this way. I mean, it might take a while, but I really think we're going to 50. But 50 is still 100% over the price when we first started trading those charts. So I think you're just going to have maybe a pullback in silver. It's going to stable off, maybe too much pullback in the charts. And then when those numbers finally do hit, they're going to be so good, those charts just kind of retrace. So they have a chance to retrace all-time highs. This chart does not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
SA would probably be my best example. I think you've seen it come up in the flow a few times, but that was like 11. I think it went to like 35, pulling back a little bit, but that can be a $40 stock.
Yeah, so my top on silver, it's probably not even 100. It's like lower 90s, I think. But yeah, I'm with you there. And gold, similar kind of story here. Just probably gonna live in this zone for a while, and just kind of let it do it. Gold went beyond what I had talked about, but that whole uptrend and then the blow off top, up 5,500 or whatever. It's kind of like my flow read took you through all that, and now we're into something new, and it's harder to deal with up here. So
I think
I hesitate to bring them up. They have to really be pretty good for me to.
I think your original number at 36, 38 probably be our top, but again, that's going to take some time to get there, and this is definitely a slower moving thing. For some reason, I'm not going to try to understand why it's slower than silver, why it started first and it's slower, but I think that number you said in December 24 when I laughed at you is the top. Or the bottom, sorry.
Okay, yeah, right. Yeah, the new support. Yeah, I'm with you. All right, so then get into oil. Yeah, I mean, you're still. I mean, and this is it's kind of different, but when you talk about like the companies, you talk about the miners versus the price and all of that. A lot of these oil companies are in pretty good shape with what's happening, and a lot of it has to do with firing up some of these machines here in the U.S. and more drilling, more offshore rigs, more rentals of this equipment they've got. That because I mean, if you own that equipment, like you have to keep it maintained, even if no one's using it, and that's expensive. But you start to get these contracts lined up and eases some of the pressure on them. So yeah, oil's it's not going back to sub 70 to me anytime soon. We're still going to see some price shocks and some craziness. If you're trying to trade oil futures, you're an idiot, or you have a bankroll to actually do it properly. But it's
Or
not
both.
on Binance.
Both.
So right, yeah. But yeah, so I still like a ton of oil setups, and a lot of them have natural gas exposure too. You can see this chart just continue to dip. I don't think we'll go to 2, but we could go sub 250. That's pretty good for me filling my tank up. But the real price here is dollars higher than this. So just got to wait it out, and don't wait it out with leverage, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I kind of got my own 15-minute city over here. The uncle lives in. I can spit on the golf course. The gym's fucking 4 minutes away. I got Safeway, Fred Meyer, Walmart all right here. There's a Lowe's. So I don't drive much. The other day I had to fill up my truck because the kid takes it, so she usually puts gas in it. But I had to fill it up the other day. I was gonna go beat someone up. Are you fucking kidding me? Like horrible. Yeah, gas. There's a lot left there. Natural gas for me. I'm in them, so this. If I wasn't in them, I would probably just be like, how much am I gonna allot just to cover that sector right now? Do I just take 5, 2, 10 grand, whatever my account size would be, and spread that 5 or 10% of my account over those names, because this chart is manipulated, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be needed. Like all roads that are clean involve natural gas. Data center shortstops involve natural gas. This the basic way Europe operates involves natural gas. So
Yeah.
the only thing is that natural gas has on the negative side is there isn't an abundance of it. But other than that, yeah, this is manipulated.
Well, there is if we want to go get it.
Sure.
I mean, so like, and again, that comes down to every rare earth element you can think of.
Yes.
It's all here. It's just hilarious how those stories come out. It's like, oh, there's a massive reserve of this, in some mountain in West Virginia or something. I mean, so it's just about the regulatory environment, and then just the investment to do it, and a lot of these companies, they want to be backed by the government before they're going to go dig up that stuff, and that's just smart business on their part. So yeah.
Rig 2026, was that a table pounder?
Yeah, right. There you
Sorry.
go. Yeah.
Sorry.
And we'll find the next one there too. And there have been several there were several offshore oil companies that took off and did the 3 to 5, 3 to 7 move, and so yeah, we'll stay on that. All right, let's see. Get into 10-year.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
We lived the week. I'm watching. I was watching a little bit because I ain't had nothing else to watch. I had nothing to do with my hands, so I was gonna watch just a little bit. But it was under 430 for most of the week. But man, it didn't want to stay down at all. And then Friday, it got a little hot on Friday, but I still called it kind of inside the zone or quiet. But downward just was not an option.
No, and I mean it's still little bit of pop and fade. You'll see a lot of the best moves overnight. I mean, how many times do we need to see, QQQ up 1.3% overnight, and then it lives in this range of 1.1 to 1.5. If you want to try to make your living in that 0.5%, the next day trading 0 DTE, I more power to you, I guess, but it's just not the way to live to me.
Will you yes or no, true or false, or percentage answer a question for me?
Yeah, sure.
So 413 is my number. We all know that, right? Like I've been on that for a while. 413. If we get to if it is at 413, all the positions that we're in are up 30%. Like, the stuff that we're following it's already gonna move.
Yes.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
100%. That's 100%, right?
100%. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I just want to make sure I'm seeing it the right way and everyone else does see that the right way.
So yeah, and so I think and they'll let it happen. Yeah, does that make sense? Like I think that
Oh, sure, sure.
they're not going to intervene if that happens. They're going to intervene if we pop towards 450.
50. Okay, okay. Yeah.
And that's where your dip buys will come in.
But it's a trailing indicator.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Then old Bitcoin. We've had a good read on this.
Thank you for including me in that, P. I appreciate you.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of a quiet grind up, but but you did. I mean, you had coin right at the perfect time. It was a week after I said to buy crypto stuff, but that's but it also dipped more. So I was early. It dropped more. You like it. It goes up. Happens every time, but I'm fine with that. Like I was fine with like MSTR ads, down, started like 132, dipped down to 120, and then took off and has been gone. Can easily revisit half that move to the downside. I mean, definitely. Coin took a little bit of a drop based on they're not the custodian for some bullshit that came out. People thought they were going to be, whatever. So we're back to this, this 200 idea. You can see the pivots above, but you're still good. You had it in the middle of my zone here. When we started talking about it again, you're in great shape. And then just back to crypto itself. It's yeah. So thinking about 80. I lower 90s probably if before this move fizzles out. I mean, that's definitely the potential's there. We know the spots that'll revisit to the downside and all that. So so I don't know. I have trouble entering crypto stuff here unless it's just a day trade. But yeah, just waiting for this to settle out a bit. Did I lose you?
Yeah, sorry, I had my mic down. Just want to bring up two stocks that you brought up. Coin, 200 SMA. Don't search the group. I never bring up coin, like never.
Yeah.
And then MSTR, obviously. I believe it's 200 resistance. Yeah, 200 resistance with that auto RTO until we get above 72. Those are easy reads, but I'm with you. Tradability, I'm in stuff that I think has a little bit more longevity. We mentioned CLSK, Iron, and stuff like that. Probably a better angle when it does turn, anyways. So I would rather Bitcoin went to 60.
Yeah, sure. And I did see on there's an interesting story about BitDeer. Gonna look into it a little more, but that it claims top spot by compute. And by the way, compute is like that's this big keyword lately, couple of years now, and it's it relates to the AI story too. Everyone's just about like how much compute you have, and you're even seeing like people hiring people back because it's cheaper than the tokens. That's the other word. The tokens for Claude that they need to do the thing they want to do. Whatever. But the one like BitDeer being a company that wants to stick to their guns and be a Bitcoin miner. You reach a point where everybody's pivoting to data centers, and then your last man standing is doing pretty well. As a miner, you start to have some appeal. I did the 8 to 12 on this one, keeping enough for maybe some follow through. But anyway, yeah, this company still interests me. Just keep an eye on what they're doing. Mara,
Yeah.
it's barely even worth talking about how easy that was for us.
Yeah.
It's just like
That's what I was about
over
to
and over.
say. I traded Mara. I mean, I paper handed Mara, but I traded Mara and then bought Hood like an adult. If that counts.
Yeah. But the one that I see, and I guess it's every time I make fun of somebody, like I just see 1,000 more posts about it. But I mean, imagine having like you have this chart and being incredibly frustrated with where it is.
What chart are you on?
Couldn't be
Sorry.
me. I don't know. I
Oh,
mean,
I-
I don't like. I've had this thing 3 times now, and each time I've done very well. And I don't care what it does up here. I mean, it can come back. That's fine. But I don't know. It's just that's to me somebody who bought at 50 thinking it's a breakout, and now they're mad it hasn't happened yet. Or maybe they bought at 60 and have held this whole time, and it's almost back to where they were, and they're just pissed off about it. So
Not to go sideways, but coin for sure. Coin 100%. I agree. But I just brought up the SMAs, and kind of been talking about opportunities. But tell me that whales aren't concerned. If you could only buy on the 200, tell me they're not concerned because they look it. And the same with iron.
yeah,
Same with iron. As soon as that SMA pops up, you just see it. And you want to bring up the third counterpart we're talking about, Mara, they don't fucking care. I mean,
Right.
it's, and you see that on these lower names, and I just really wanted to point that out this week. Also, Professor's Purple Line, shout out to that Mara pullback. That's why the trade was easy. We had the level from fucking 3 years ago. It missed it by 10 cents. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not rocket. We're not, at least on my end, I'm not college educated. Yeah, I barely fucking spell. So it ain't that hard. I'm just trying to give people a little confidence. Like, it's not nothing special. It's just hard work.
Yeah.
I digress.
Yep. And just real quick, wanted to get this in there. It's not you won't find futures on it because
Okay.
you can't trade
Solar.
the sun.
Fucking telling you.
But I drew this line a long time ago, and here we are. So it could mean something.
Hey, P,
The way
what's
solar
the-
pops. This is one of those sectors. Crypto's like this too, but like I have mine, you have yours. We have a couple that match up. Those are probably the ones you want. But I'll take you through end phase. I'll take you into the depths and bring you back.
Yeah.
But it's not as easy as some. But the overall sector look is something that I would definitely be mindful of.
I think our lists are similar, just what we trade's different in there. That's one of the sectors where
Yeah.
at least our lists are the same.
True.
I brought up one last week. How you doing?
Yeah, right.
I looked
Yeah,
at them all, but
Yeah, definitely stay on those.
and keep
right,
buying the one you're on that's not in face.
Will do.
I like that one. I don't talk about that one a lot, but I do like that one. I think that's the your blue chip in the long run, anyways.
Oh yeah. No, I like my pivot there is very simple, but it works well. All right, so I will talk about SPY for a minute. I kind of already did, but I still don't have much. I mean, basically the September 600 needs some kind of complement above 600. It doesn't have one. They just haven't bothered with it.
Does
I mean,
Does
this,
it feel
this thing was
like-
trading at like $3,000 not that long ago, and now it's 700. 141K, nothing to sneeze at. But you better pair this with 660 or something for me to really think much of it.
I'm elephant, man. I never forget. But this one wasn't a long time ago. But last, let's say September to about October, we ran into this little situation where you just was like, "Hey, I got nothing for you," and I was like, "Man, we're gonna go to 660," and you're like, "It's just I got nothing for you," and it was just quiet on your side as we grind up. Is that something you're seeing the makings of starting? Or
Yes. No, it is, and it's why the people trying to call the top every weekend. It's like it's not. I don't know where they're getting that. Whatever shapes you want to draw, there isn't option positioning to indicate what they're talking about. And I even look at when I don't have anything in SPY, I'll take a look at SQQQ and this is this is leverage, so to go to 60 from here isn't really that
Sure.
like whatever big deal.
Well, we ended the year
but,
at 680, just for give people kind of context on. We were looking for 660 as hope, and we ended up at 680. So it really got aggressive to the top without much from your side.
Yeah, and
towards the end of
so
the year.
if they want to go on any kind of an SQQQ, any sort of rescue mission for this OI, I mean, there's quite a bit at 80 for June. It's just pushing that. I mean, to me, if they can get it in the mid to upper 60s, they'll just punt those. So it's more about that than like turning those into
Sure.
money or something like that. So yeah, I think it's still just the grind up, oxen metaphor, all that stuff. Of course.
Nice. Fuckers are positioned and don't want to pay taxes.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep.
Ready to get to work, P?
Yeah. I'll just grab a coffee and then we'll get to it.
Perfect. Like and subscribe. Link somewhere, people.